Outlaw, macho, drive-in.
Nope, nope. Um, um, but yeah, it's like when people just watch things out of hate, it's there's no reason to, and it takes away your enjoy them, your
Your
enjoyment out of
enjoyment,
it.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's the whole idea of let's go back to this. Okay, this is a movie code, not the. But do you remember that Christopher Nolan movie, The Prestige?
yes, yes,
And what Michael Caine says at the end is, "You want to be fooled. You want you want to believe." That's the secret of magic is that
exactly.
and that's how you enjoy wrestling. You want to enjoy wrestling. You
Yes,
want to believe that this stuff is good. So if you hate watch something, you watch something just just to nitpick at it.
yes, yes,
Why why are you watching it in the first place? Now,
yeah.
granted, you and I nitpick at stuff, but that's not the intention of us. There are things that we watch that are
No,
just glaring in the direction you cannot ignore. Okay, that's it.
like we'll like we'll be like um Lash. I was gonna say Lash LaRue. Lash Legend is on. It's like oh, she definitely needs to work on her gimmick or something. It's more of like a critique thing and
It's a critic
developmental.
thing, and yet when you and I do this, it's like you and I, if we're watching the same show and something horrible comes out, we bitch about it because we get each other through watching it. It's like,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
it's okay, but we don't go like never did we just start for the hell of it. You know what? Screw Lash Legend, and
And and also sometimes, just
I
like
get a good
this
feeling.
week,
Oh, sorry.
you and I found the light, and now we are fans of Josh
Josh
Briggs
Briggs
and
and the other one.
uh yeah. We somehow during a backstage segment after weeks of bashing these two, we were like,
After,
wow, that's actually kind of funny.
yeah, it's like it's you and I once you reach the same point at the same level. We were like, okay, these guys are horrible. These guys cannot do it. These guys are boring. And then just it's for me, it's that one point where the guy said, "Jokes on you" to Carmel, to Cameron
That's
San
got me
Diego. It's
too.
like, "Jokes on you." I've never actually been with a real woman. It's like,
And
eh,
here's another funny thing: 2000, 2005, 2006. I would think to myself, like, this guy on TV,
screw
he annoys me,
screw this
and
guy because he looks
he's
like.
feuding with the Undertaker, and then all of a sudden he gets put into a program with John Morrison in 2007, and now I have like 4 or 5 action figures of his in my
It's
room.
it's the same thing. I
The
hated that guy. I was like, when Great Khali tossed him over the top rope so quick, I was like, yeah, this is for the best probably.
yeah,
and uh,
up just froze
and
up again.
yeah, sorry. Like, and then
There
suddenly
you go.
I'm like, okay, this guy's segments are good. Oh yeah, and then there's just a moment. Oh, the Miz has the mic. Okay, this is good. This is gonna be good.
Hmm.
It's all of a sudden it's organic with this cup. Why? Because we would like to enjoy it. Everyone else who let's talk about the heat. It's what? It's ironic that we actually that this is the theme of our episode on the same week that Matt Jackson said that there's a toxic fan base in wrestling, which
There is, yeah, yeah.
there is, but you know what? We'll get to this after we talk about the biz. But Matt Jackson is not the person
And
to
here's
say
the funny
this.
thing about what he's talking about. I think the toxic fan base is his fan base.
Exactly. It's like you can't be the guy who riled up these toxic fans in the first place and then bitch
Yes,
about how they're toxic fan.
yeah,
Dude, dude, you are the toxic fan. You tweeted Michelle McCool a picture of you mocking her husband,
yeah, yeah.
and now you're gonna complain about the toxic fan base. You're gonna go again. Let's stay positive. But I just found it ironic that this is the guy who says there's a toxic fan base in wrestling.
Yeah.
Man, what man? And here's the thing: the other guy that we talk about, he has more people bitching about him than anyone else on the internet, and he never said that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Hats off to
Yeah.
the Miz because when they interview him outside of WWE, he is one of the most positive, best mannered people out there.
He is. And he lets the hate fuel his promos, like when he did the Talking Smack promo 6 years ago, which
Yeah,
holy shit, that was 6 years ago already, well, close to
yeah. I
six
was
years
just
ago.
thinking.
It's like he takes things and he uses it to his advantage. Um, Whereas like others take things and they're just like, oh, I'm done. It's like I'm folding it up and I'm quitting on it. It's like
Yeah,
Miz knows how to
no,
take things and run with it.
he like the hate of the fans. He uses that to fuel him, and at the same time he just lets it rolls off his shoulders. It's uncanny how he can
Hmm.
do both at the same time. It's
And it's funny because basically since that Talking Smack promo, a lot of people have warmed up to the Miz. Like Miz started getting great reactions from people, and they're just like, "Oh wow, I actually really like this guy." Look at like
he got a pop for beating Roman Reigns for the Intercontinental Championship.
yes, yes,
Now,
yeah,
granted, Roman Reigns was hated
different
by
time
a
period for
lot,
Roman, but still.
but by a lot. But still, they popped for the Miz, and then on that
And
same night,
also,
he went to the Manhattan Center, and the people were just eating were hanging on every word he was doing,
hmm
every movement. He just put his hand up, and
and here's the,
they all went quiet. They
that
said, "Wow, I don't have to sleep."
that show also was a big show because it wasn't just native New Yorkers. That was a show that had a lot of people from throughout the country that went to it because it was the 25th anniversary of Raw. So
Yeah,
it was kind of like a mini mania. It wasn't necessarily like a global thing, but it was like a national thing. So people from around were going up there, checking it out. And when you have people from all around and not just in New York or whatever, which even was just New York alone. New York, obviously, Mark City.
yeah. There are probably a lot of
You get
people
people like that,
from the
Detroit.
tri-state area already.
Yes,
But
it's Miz control knows how to control a
when
crowd
when a
now.
freaking New Yorker, when a New York crowd actually accepts you, remember the New York crowd is the first people are the first people to they cheered Psycho Sid over Shawn Michaels for God's sake.
Yes, yeah.
It's
Which that just confused the hell out of me when I
me
saw it
too.
back then.
I was like,
I was
I get that he's cool.
dumbfounded by it.
I was like, I get that he's cool, but Shawn, really? You, you're gonna just cheer this guy over Shawn. That's
Yeah, yeah. And I think it was just because people felt the turning of the time at that period, because NWO was on Nitro, Austin 316 was on Raw. It was it was like a complete paradigm shift happening right then and there, and it was the perfect time for Sid, even though the momentum didn't last only for like another 6 months, and then he was gone. But
yeah. I mean, he did have that car accident that halted everything.
yeah, yeah. But even when he came back to WCW, it was still he still got a great pop, but he just didn't have that
It's just he
same
wasn't dead anymore,
aura.
and by all accounts of Sid, he wasn't really into it as
Yeah, yeah,
in general. So
yeah,
it might have been like what he's had one injury too many to just care.
yeah, exactly.
Which speaking of
But
which, by the way, have you we were talking about Pat McAfee and Vince McMahon earlier. Did you see the Pat McAfee Brock Lesnar interview?
I've just seen sound bites and blurbs from it.
Now, for a guy who admittedly does not care about wrestling as much as he is way too knowledgeable about it.
I noticed
Like,
that. Yeah,
yeah, he knows what to say. I would never in my wildest dream have thought that Brock Lesnar would be using inside terms like "get over."
he knows about he knows more about like for here's a
Now you're cutting out,
our
Tony.
wrestling fan. Brock Lesnar knows more about psychology and wrestling than the Bucks.
Oh, definitely. He knows more about psychology and wrestling than.
Oh, just froze up a bit.
Yeah, you did. Okay. How about now?
Yep, you're
Hello.
good.
Okay,
Yes.
so Brock Lesnar knows more about psychology, but I would say not even just. I was just gonna say about the more about it than 99% of AEW, but he pretty much knows more about it than 99% of the professional wrestling industry today. It's
It does, yeah. Yeah.
it's
The stuff that he talked about Roman Reigns, he completely nailed it.
yeah. He and he know like here's the thing. Anyone, the basic meathead that is gonna go like, yeah, Brock Lesnar walked into that fatal five-way and he squashed everyone. Dude, Big E got to shine. Bobby Lashley got to shine. Uh, Seth Rollins not necessarily, but then again, he Seth Rollins lost two victories over Brock Lesnar. Did he need to be
Yeah.
shined up by Brock Lesnar again? Not really. But Seth Rollins
Yeah.
and Kevin Owens together got to shine. It's
Yeah.
like
Exactly. Exactly.
hell. He went into the Elimination Chamber and it was what it needed to be.
Yeah.
But Austin Theory got to shine. So you're good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's weird. It's
And it's
weird
funny
that
when
Brock.
people say that people hate Austin Theory anyhow, but they're just like, um, oh, why is it down to these final two? But then, I don't want to see Brock Lesnar do this. It's like, why don't you just put Theory over? It's like Lesnar doing that to Austin Theory was huge for Austin Theory,
Austin
and
Theory got a near fall on Brock Lesnar. It's
yeah, and he took a huge bump that people are remembering, and them being the final two was very telling because it's basically the future versus not just the past but the present, and it was a huge moment for both guys, honestly. And people think that it's not. It's like if you understand wrestling psychology, that was a huge final two right there, actually.
it was. And people are gonna and people. I mean, let's face it, Brock Lesnar. There's always gonna be people who don't like that he's there.
Sure.
But is there any professional wrestler today that gets a bigger pop than he does when he shows up?
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, let's not talk about
He.
like the suddenly returning John Cena, or I mean, CM Punk got the biggest pop of last year in Chicago when he got back. Has he gotten the pop?
Sure.
But since then, has he gotten a pop as big as Brock Lesnar does when he walks out on a pay-per-view? And here's the thing: people know that Brock
No.
Lesnar is gonna be there,
Because
but he's
and
still.
here's the thing is exactly. And this is the other thing with it is Punk. And this isn't like trying to be a fickle thing or anything. It's just speaking facts on it.
Oh boy, here comes the
Punk
toxic
does
fan
the
desk.
same. He does the exact same thing weekly. Like how many times on Dynamite has there been, up next CM Punk on Dynamite, and he comes out and he cuts pretty much the exact same promo because it was basically just him being on tour. That's not a
Yeah,
knock on him.
but
It's
it's
just the whole.
and it's not that that was a bad thing. It was what
No,
needed to be
no,
done. It's
exactly. And but when he's no longer he's still kind of a spectacle, but he's his spectacle and Brock Lesnar's spectacle completely different levels
yeah,
of spectacle.
exactly. It's like again this year I have not seen like let's take the Elimination Chamber out of the equation because the Saudi Arabian fans were loud for everyone.
Yeah.
So therefore the pops were earth shattering pretty much for everyone all around. But has anyone gotten as big a reaction as Brock Lesnar got at day one, for example?
Yeah, yeah.
Because here's the thing, people were still mad that Brock Lesnar's gonna take the title of Big E, but when his music hit and he came out, everyone was like, "Whoa!" It's like I can't believe I'm
Hmm.
seeing Brock Lesnar live. But he was built to be there. It's like you're not
Yeah.
surprised, but you still like. It's the damnedest thing. The only like if I'm gonna say someone else that people knew was gonna come and then had an earth-shattering pop, like people were like almost to the shock level. It's for some reason the only thing I remember is Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 32. It's
Yeah.
because everyone knew he was in this match, but when his music hit, you can hear like a loud oh, it's like we can't believe
Hmm.
I'm like Kevin Owens is, and here's the different thing. It's not because I can't believe that I'm seeing Kevin Owens. It was almost like I can't believe Kevin Owens is at WrestleMania. It's
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
that's that was his pop. But Brock Lesnar is like he's a big star. You can't just you can't.
He's a legit once in a lifetime type of superstar.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and it's funny, like when Shawn Michaels returned in 2002, I would say to myself, oh, he's just gonna be doing specialty matches,
Yeah,
but he wound up becoming a full-time person, and it
including
worked for
a
him.
including a 1 month
But
world championship run.
yes, Brock Lesnar, he's a different type of beast. And that's the other thing what a lot of fans don't get is they think if you're comparing somebody that you're bashing one and overly praising the other.
Nope.
That's by no means a bash on Shawn Michaels. I think Shawn Michaels' best run was his post injury return run. I
Yeah.
think that was fantastic. Um, but if Shawn Michaels was only wrestling like kind of like what Edge is doing right now, only every few months or so, and then taking a couple months off, his run wouldn't be quite as memorable. And if Brock Lesnar, on the flip side, was wrestling on Raw every week, it wouldn't be quite as memorable. Brock Lesnar is being treated as a legitimate, badass, dominant fighter, and he's been portrayed that way. But right now, it's like he's having fun with it. The fans are loving it, and it's just a magical time for Brock Lesnar. And a lot of fans are looking back and being like, "Wow, you know what? The past 10 years have actually been pretty good for Brock Lesnar," which they have been.
They have, and he's having more fun than ever.
Yeah,
And it's weird because if you see the Pat McAfee thing, he actually loves what he's doing.
yeah.
but but
He,
if you're not out there one time after here's the thing about let's go back to the wrestling fans and their level of complaint. It's the problem is, and this has been a problem for a long time because let's say CM Punk for example. Hmm?
mhm,
About 50% of the people who were excited about seeing him in debut in AEW trashed the shit out of him when he walked out on the WWE.
they did.
Fucking hell, I've seen those people. I've seen people openly celebrate his loss in the UFC, and now
Yeah,
they're riding his, proverbial genitalia area,
yeah.
like he's their savior. It's it, and here's the thing: if he had come back to the WWE, would you be doing this? Would you be
They
writing
would be
this?
bashing him.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing: you hated the guy for leaving the company that you actually hate,
Hmm.
and now he come back to another company, and he's no longer It's and I can say this because I never trashed CM Punk when he walked away, and I'm pretty sure you're at the same boat because we understand that you don't own this guy. He does not owe
Yeah,
you anything.
exactly,
He owes himself before he
exactly.
owes anyone else. So it's
Yeah, I've I've always admitted that he is somewhat prickish, but I never bashed him for what
for
he
his
did.
choices. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yes. Um,
Was I
and
heartbroken? Yes, but
if he returned to WWE, if he returned to WWE and had his AEW run in WWE, so he was on Raw cutting a promo. He had his match with an up and comer like say Ricochet or something instead of Darby Allin. And then he entered in a program with say Drew Gulak for like 2 weeks. People would be like bashing it being, oh, CM Punk's being wasted on Drew Gulak. But if he goes to AEW and he has a small program with Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, it's like, oh yay,
He's helping
he's
the younger talent,
yeah, yeah,
and he gets to beat the younger talent, and people and the whole like he's burying them thing does not get mentioned at all.
yes, exactly, exactly. Um,
And
if
again, for those listening, we're not knocking AEW. It's just the way
no,
things are.
no,
It's
yes, yes,
what the critique here is not the company. The critique here is the fan base.
yes,
Not
exactly,
necessarily the
exactly,
AEW fan base, but it's just the fickle fans that are
yes.
there.
It's the same with like if Jeff and Matt Hardy reunited in WWE, it would be met with online yawn. I've seen this reunion a bunch of times in the past.
I mean,
But in AEW, it's like yay, it's back, and it's like that's not a knock on the moment. I thought it was actually a cool moment as well. Um,
yeah. Hashtag dance before you save your brother.
yes. Also
Priorities.
hashtag no longer snoozing on Matt Hardy. Um, but
Yes, exactly. That's the best. Actually, that's the one thing that excites me about it is that I get to like Mike Howdy again because
yeah, I get to
it
love
was
Matt Hardy for the
it
first
was
time
rough. It
since
was rough.
he
It was since he opened the Hardy
basically.
family office.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
It's
Um,
because it was pretty rough being a being liking Matt Hardy for a while there.
yes, it was. If if uh if Sting was in WWE and he was like tag teaming with um Damian Priest or something, I don't know, it would be like, oh, Sting's being wasted as a tag team wrestler
It would
slash
be two things.
manager,
It
and
would be
he's
two
wrestling
things.
younger guys.
It would be two things. It's like, yeah, why do you waste thing on this young guy? And the other half of it would be Damian Priest deserves more than having his spotlight still stolen by Sting.
Exactly,
It's gonna be
exactly.
you're gonna see both sides of that argument. It's
Yes, yeah, yeah. Um, it's
and
it's the
and he
fickleness of fans.
and here's the thing. It is and probably wrestling has one of the top five highest percentages of toxic fandom in its within its own fandom, but it's the thing I never understood is why fans talk about it like it's a business or like this is what they should we should be like, dude, I am watching a TV show. I don't.
Yes, it's like I've said this before. One of my favorite moments of watching wrestling was almost 9 years ago. The fans not getting what they want made for a great moment, and it was also a great moment for wrestling storytelling. But people hated it because of what happened. Daniel Bryan winning the WWE title,
Uh-huh.
then Randy Orton cashing in and
Oh
winning the title
God,
from
that
him.
was
It's like,
holy shit. That was 9 years ago.
yeah,
My
it's like,
goodness.
it's like so. It's like, so you're pissed off that Daniel Bryan is no longer WWE champion. Sure, but we're watching storytelling. It's not your promotion. We're watching a TV show. We are watching stories being unfolded.
Exactly.
Do not
And
always
you're gonna
get what you want.
yeah, and you're gonna like and this is back to it again. The whole and wow, full circle to Dolph Ziggler winning the NXT championship. You can't see the forest from the tree. How is it that you do not understand what's going on here?
Hmm.
You call yourself
Yeah.
a wrestling fan, a wrestling insider, but it's pretty clear to the I think even to casual fans what the idea was for Brian having the briefcase cashed in on,
Hmm.
which again we've had this discussion. You always thought Daniel Bryan was going to go with the main event WrestleMania that year.
Yeah.
For me and James, for example, we pretty much couldn't see the way they were going to do it after the Elimination Chamber. But that's another story for another time. But it's again the whole story was you're going to run with Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton, and this is the same thing. It's pretty clear to anyone that Dolph Ziggler is gonna defend that championship versus Braun Breaker at Stand and Deliver.
Hmm.
Or it might even I don't know, it might even be a fatal four where you're adding in Champ and Bobby Roode. And who
It
knows?
might be, yeah.
Yeah, but it's how do you, but then again, why do you want to complain now when you don't know what's going on? You don't know where the story. If you don't know where the story's going, how about you wait another week before you start your match?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's it's weird that they do this and oh god, there was something I wanted to say. God, I forgot. I lost it. Anyways, go.
But yeah, I mean, um, if fans stop watching by being like, this needs to happen this way or that way, they'll enjoy it more if they're just watching it
This is the
to
problem. Yeah,
watch it.
exactly. Why is
Because
wrestling so? Why are more people angry about wrestling than they are loving it? That's the,
it's like you can take your favorite wrestler. You don't want your favorite wrestler to have like say 1990 Undertaker beats Hulk Hogan. You don't want Undertaker to have a 30-year title reign. It's
mm,
like um, you need to have heroes lose. You need to have villains rise. You need to have villains lose. You need to have heroes rise. It's
exactly.
storytelling. Um,
Exactly. I mean, there has to be trials and tribulations with that. And
yes,
honestly, there are very few babyface champions that could hold the title for as long as Hogan did
yes, yeah.
and still hold that excitement. And let's be honest, Hogan did not have that excitement for long. I mean, after I
Mm.
watched it a couple of years ago, it's like it was pretty, and this might be the earliest, in my mind, the earliest time I see this happen in WWF. When Taker pinned him, there was a pop
Yeah, there was.
in
Yeah,
1991. For God's sake, it's
yeah.
and
It was an early case of fans being sick and tired of someone being shoved down their throat.
yeah, and again, it spoke to the power of the Undertaker as a character because let's be honest. 1990s, you're a teenager, you're watching, and this guy comes out and he's supposed to be an undead funeral director. It's yeah, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And
It's more fans need to sit back and enjoy
exactly, that's what we're
wrestling.
gonna say. And here we
Like
are, and especially now, we're in the most magical time of the year for us wrestling fans. This is our, dare I say, Christmas time for us.
yeah, yeah, it is.
So
It's
it's
it's a
not,
big holiday.
yeah, and people like to, and we haven't talked about WrestleMania at all this year, this episode, sorry. But here's the thing: people are trashing that show before it even takes place,
Exactly.
while it's still taking shape. Uh, like again, you're not. Here's a story about WrestleMania. WrestleMania 28, 2012. I remember
Mhm.
I was like reading on this news website that had a lot of like social interactions and comments and so forth, and people were pissed about Cody Rhodes versus Big Show.
Big show. Yeah.
That was 28, right? Intercontinental Championship.
Ye- That would have been.
Yeah, Miami. Well, it
Mm,
was. Cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. 2000, yep, 28, 28. Yep.
28, yeah. Anyway, so a lot of people are like, yeah, Big Show winning the Intercontinental Championship does nothing for me, and like, why would they do this to Cody? And that? And there's a couple of guys that got on this guy who was saying this, and one of them said, yeah, or God forbid, they actually, instead of like building to a future storyline, they just give you a special moment now. The
Yeah,
guy was being sarcastic. I mean, like, but it's yeah, that's the point
yeah.
that they're gonna say.
That's what the whole point of that rivalry was
You were
one.
giving Big Show the moment. It's
Yes. Plus he became a Grand Slam champion that night by winning the IC title.
yeah. So it's and he broke his WrestleMania stink, I guess. It's the
Yes,
WrestleMania lead.
yes, exactly, exactly.
So so again, this is the problem. It's like you see as something special in front of you, and you're like, why would they do this to so and so? Let go. You're a fan.
Yeah,
You're not in the booking committee. If you're working there, I can understand this. You're not.
exactly.
I hate to break it to you. You're not part of the booking committee.
Mm-mm.
It's uh, it's like if you want to bitch about this, go and start a podcast like that, like any other loser fan who
Exactly.
doesn't know what to do. Oh,
Yes.
and
Exactly.
and anyway,
Um, but like before wrapping it up here, I just want to say like if for this week, and if you're watching Raw, you know it's not necessarily going to be a great show. You might have some great segments. But you know it's not going to be a great show top to bottom.
yeah,
Take the stuff that's great that you are enjoying, and be happy that you're having some great stuff with it. Um,
and
if
just
you're
don't
enjoying
don't
Kevin
hold
Owens
on.
and Seth Rollins, keep on being like, oh, those are my guys.
Yeah, and don't hold on to the bad stuff. By all means, trash it when it's happening, and just give your critiques about it. But
Yeah,
don't keep that in here. Like
but don't hold on to it.
don't carry it after the show. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Exactly. Don't have it be like 3 days later. You're like, I'm still steaming from Carmella defeating Liv Morgan or something. It's like, who cares?
Yeah. Now I'm gonna break that rule right now. I'm just gonna talk about Rampage real quick. But this is because it's funny more than anything else.
Hmm?
When the Hardys came out, Darby Allin and Sting were in the middle of the ring. Where did the AFO go? That's just that's just again. I bring
It
this
was.
up, and this is the difference between hate. I bring this up because it's amusing. It's not.
It was because we were watching it the other night. We were more or less laughing at it for its randomness, awkwardness, and the fact that it didn't make sense. But we didn't go online to be like, "Oh, AEW is trash." Not Alberto. Andrade just disappeared from thin air.
Yeah, okay. We're
He's
just we're gonna let go that you just mistook a Mexican wrestler for another Mexican wrestler. But
it was the whole A name more so
yeah,
than anything.
yeah, I know.
Um,
Andrade El Patron was
but it's
my
it's
name. My name is Andrade Del Rio. But of course, you already
but
know that. Anyway, go.
it's like yeah, we're not taking that and being like, oh yeah, the show's trash or
This
anything
is
because of it.
we weren't like this is why AEW is trash.
Yeah, yeah.
Because everyone knows the reason AEW is trash is because it is Orange Cassidy, but that's another story. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Thank you for joining us on the Outlaw Macho Drive-In. If you liked that video, please click like and subscribe to our channel for more content from the Drive-In. For full episodes of our podcast, you may look us up on Anchor, Spotify, or wherever your favorite podcasts are available. Just search for Outlaw Macho Drive-In. And if it's not too much trouble, would you help us out here? Spread the word, share. We would really appreciate it. Thank you. We love you. Bye.